Great. All right. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to put the agenda in the chat, and I just clicked record. So first, we're going to go through and do a couple of introductions. We have a new team member that we'd like to introduce. Martha will then give us some updates. Then Sophie will give us some updates. And then we will go over the questions that were put into the registration form. And then we will close with some upcoming community events then and Q&A. All right, so I'll go ahead and kick us off. My name is Twyla. I am the Director of Outreach here at the department. And I will introduce Jennifer Lucero. She is our new outreach navigator. She will be helping our team with outreach events and collaboration events, as well as probably doing a lot more of scheduling these sorts of things. And today is her second day, so welcome, Jennifer. We're so happy to have you. And I will pass it over to Martha so she can introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Martha Herrera, and I am the FAFSA coordinator for CDHE.
Great.
Pass it over to Sophie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Martha. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Sophie Vogel. I am the CASFA coordinator for CDHE.
Great, thank you. All right, so shall we just jump right in and go with FAFSA updates? Really quickly, just so those of you know that we do record all these and we do post them on our website, so you can always refer back. And we try to put in the chat the certain links that we all talk about, but I will pass it over to you, Martha.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Twilight. Let me share my screen. Okay. Are you all able to see my screen? Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay, awesome.
And maybe present. We can't see it in presenting mode, but
yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me. Let me try it again. Okay.
Right now.
It's not letting me.
Okay.
Let me just get started.
No worries.
So thank you all so much for joining us for our Lunch and Learn. So much has changed since our last Lunch and Learn in December. So I just want to give a quick recap of what has happened since December. So in December, we were all anxiously waiting for FSA to announce a launch date. At least I was. And then finally FSA announced that they were going to launch the form on December 31st. So in a perfect world, the form was supposed to launch on December 31st. There weren't going to be any issues. Everyone was going to submit 1 million FAFSAs and everything was going to be perfect. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. There has been a lot of glitches with the form. And then also FSA hit us with a soft launch period. So the department initiated process for site maintenance and to make technical updates as needed to provide a better experience. And then later they announced that the form was going to be available 24/7. But as the time has gone by, we all started noticing all the glitches with the form, right? Hopefully FSA is able to fix all of those issues. But I will talk to you all about the glitches and the new updates that FSA has recently announced. But before I start with my presentation, I just wanted to let you all know that it's a challenging time. And if you all have questions, please reach out to us. We will try to get you an answer if we don't have it. And also, I know how frustrating it is, so keep encouraging your students to fill out the form. My biggest fear is that students are going to get just discouraged and not wanting to fill it out, so keep encouraging them to be patient because FSA is really working on resolving all of those issues. So hopefully we can get somewhere. Alrighty, so next slide. On January 30th, the Department of Education announced that they will not be able to send any student FAFSA information to colleges until mid-March. The reason for this update is because FSA decided to update the current tables used in the SAI calculation to reflect the inflation adjustments in order to reduce, so these tables are likely to reduce the SAI for many students and increase their aid eligibility. So if students submitted their FAFSA like in January, their FAFSA is going to be reprocessed, but students and families don't need to do anything. They might just get an updated SAI. Also, students and parents will not be able to receive their submission summary or be able to make any corrections until mid-March. So that's another thing that occurred with this delay. Also, most likely students will not be receiving award letters until mid-April as well. So colleges, institutions probably will not be able to send out award letters to students. It's such a short amount of time for colleges to receive documents and test their systems and model awarding guidelines. So it's such a crunch time for colleges and for students. So my biggest advice is for students to reach out to the institutions and let them know if they are changing their priority deadlines. I know many colleges are working on shifting their priority deadlines, their scholarship deadlines. So I advise students to reach out to them to find out the new deadlines. And if students are in the process of submitting scholarships, but they still need to fill out their FAFSA form and they haven't yet, still encourage them to submit those scholarships and reach out to the scholarship administrators and let them know. We are all aware of the issues going on with FAFSA, so they know that there's just issues going on. So let them know that they're working on submitting their application, but still submit their scholarships. Another good thing is that the department recently announced that they're going to attempt to reduce the verification rate for 2024 and 2025, which is great. So hopefully, because all students are having their information come over from the IRS, there's going to be a lower need for students to be selected for verification. So our recommendation is just to have students just reach out to those institutions to learn their priority deadlines. Also, paper FAFSAs submitted will not be processed until the backlog of online forms are processed. So students that are encountering issues submitting their FAFSA and have pressing deadlines, they can submit a paper FAFSA. So that way they'll have proof that they have submitted it for those deadlines that they need to meet. But FSA just announced this morning that contributors that are encountering issues with submitting their forms, that they are going to resolve this issue by mid-March. Woo, so this is awesome. This is great news. But if students are still wanting to submit the paper application right now, instead of waiting for mid-March, they can still do it. But still, once mid-March hits, they should still complete an online application, because the online forms are going to get processed first, then the paper applications. And once FSAID gets the paper application, they can just treat the paper application as a duplicate. Also, our FAFSA portal was impacted by all of these delays as well. So we might not have it up and running until mid-April. As of right now, we are working on sending out data share agreements to districts so they can renew their contracts. If your district would like to access the portal and is not in our list, please just send us an email so we can put you in our list. So the FAFSA portal is a web-based tool that allows authorized individuals such as principals, counselors, to see which of their students have completed their application, or if they're missing signatures, or if their application is incomplete. They're able to see all of that data. So please, if you're not in the list, please send me an email and I will add you to our list. But we're hopeful to have our FAFSA portal up and running by April. Okay, so next slide. Also, FAFSA has released a issue alert page. So in this page, I will put it in the chat right now. The the goal of this page is for people to check issues that have been identified, and FSA will also post when the issues are resolved. So I'm going to play a quick video because this is how I feel every time I log into this page. This is exactly what I feel.
What's making you emotional right now?
But hey, they are slowly working on resolving all of those issues, but I'm seeing progress because I was super excited today when I saw that they announced that they are going to resolve the issue for parents that don't have a social security to be able to submit their applications by mid-March. So keep encouraging students to be patient because they are working on those issues. So right now I'm going to talk about known issues with workarounds. So if a student incorrectly selects eligible non-citizen and completes the demographic section, they will not be they're not going to be able to submit the FAFSA after correcting their citizenship status. So one workaround is to delete the current application and start a new one. I will put this link in the chat as well. So this link shows you how to delete a FAFSA in case you are needing that as well. So for the second one is if a student is unable to proceed past student identity and information page when mailing address section is blank. So what this means is if the mailing address section on the student identity and information page is blank on the student's 2024-25 FAFSA form, it means the student does not have an address stored in their FSA ID system. So what the workaround for this is for the student should go to the account settings, navigate to the contact information page, select the terms and conditions checkbox and click save. These actions associate the student's address that appears under settings with the FSA ID. Once the student navigates back to the FAFSA form, the mailing address will populate and the student identify in the information page as well. Another known issue that has been resolved is that college names are abbreviated and difficult to distinguish between when a college has multiple programs. So one workaround is to search by federal school code. And I will share the spreadsheet with all of the school codes in the chat right now as well. Alrighty, so now we're going to talk about known FAFSA issues without workarounds, but with the update today, this might change. So parents with no social security are unable to start a FAFSA form for the student or contribute to an existing form, even if the student starts the application. So as of yesterday, there was no workaround, but hopefully with this new announcement, this should be fixed by mid-March as well. So another known issue is parents with foreign legal residents that are unable to submit the FAFSA when they have not filed taxes due to earning no income. So on the parent tax filing status page of the 24-25 FAFSA form, a parent selects the parent's tax filing status. If a parent who has a foreign legal residence, selects that the parent did not or will not file taxes due to earning no income, the parent's prevented from proceeding past the financial section. Instead of allowing the parent to navigate to the review page, the parent will be continuously redirected back to the parent 2022 tax return information page without receiving an error message. And as of right now, we have not heard an update to a workaround for this issue. Also, students unable to save or submit FAFSA form when entering an A number that ends with 0. So if a student selects that they are eligible non-citizen status on the 2024-2025 FAFSA form and proceeds to enter an A number that ends in a 0, the student receives an error message stating that the application failed to save. This message displays to the student on each page, regardless of the data the student enters in the form. As a result of the application of saving, the student is unable to proceed beyond the selected colleges and career school page to the review page. We still have not heard a workaround this issue as well. So another mistake that I have seen, so I've been attending some FAFSA nights at schools, and I've been seeing that students are mistakenly selected this question. So this question is confusing to many students, and they are getting it wrong. It is a tricky question, so please advise students to read every question carefully. But really what this question is asking is if students don't have a special circumstance, then and if the parents are not willing to provide them with their information, students need to put yes. Once it is processed, and the schools will offer you some loans. But if they have parents that will provide information, then click no, and then they will move forward with the application and send the invitation to their parent to fill out their portion. Because if students are clicking yes, then students are only going to be eligible for unsubsidized loans, and we don't want that. So please have students read this question carefully, because if not, they're going to have to make corrections later on. And to be able to make corrections, they're going to have to wait until mid-March. Alrighty, so other issues that are going on is that the FSAID call center is completely overwhelmed right now. So I know I've talked to families, and they've said that they've called the 1-800 number, but usually it's such a long way, or sometimes the call drops, so they're not able to get their questions answered. So one advice is maybe just asking to talk to a tier 2 specialist, or if students or parents are just trying to get a case number, if they were selected for identity verification and they just need a case number so they can send in their documents, there's a chat function that students and parents can just use to chat, and they're going to be able to get a case number instead of calling and waiting a long time. Also, there has been error messages appearing throughout the form, which is not letting students complete the form. So one recommendation is to change browsers if early on the form. Some parents are not receiving the contributor invitation. FSAID has suggested for students to click the update contributor button and try an alternative address, or parents can just log into their account and see if they're able to access that information that way. And lastly, when the ID in the form has no barriers, it is much quicker and simple. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I helped a family complete the FAFSA form without any issues, and it was amazing. It was such a smooth process. They were able to complete it. So I promise you, once the form is working and there's no issues, it's going to be amazing, because it's such a smooth process. So please keep being patient, keep encouraging your students to not give up, because like I said, the FSA is making progress slowly, but they are. So yeah. And then I am going to hand it over to Sophie to talk about some CASFA updates.
Thanks, Martha. You're amazing, as always. I wanted to share some updates that are related to the January 30th federal student aid announcement that changed when FAFSA files are shared with colleges. So originally, federal student aid said, we're going to share at the end of January. And then at the end of January, they said, actually, never mind, we've updated our SAI calculation. So we're going to share in March. So CASFA follows FAFSA. So CASFA, for those of you who are not as familiar, is the Colorado application for state financial aid. It is the application for students who are not eligible for federal student aid, undocumented students, and potentially other students as well. But the CASFA was designed for students who don't have proper documentation to be in the United States legally, and for Colorado residents. So our software developer is quite aware of the SAI calculation change, and they already have the new tables from the U.S. Department of Education. So the CASFA is going to reprocess those CASFA files. They're called ICERs, and their tentative date at this time is late April. So students who complete a CASFA won't have anything they have to do, and then their CASFAs will be automatically reprocessed in late April. So this sort of mirrors what's happening with the FAFSA, and unfortunately the time frame is a little bit delayed. Little bit more delayed for the CASFA. Thanks, Martha.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. I will stop sharing my screen then. Do we want to talk about the questions that were asked in the registration form? Okay.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to share that in the chat, and then I'm also going to share the link in the chat, and then I'm also going to share my screen so we can discuss it. So a bunch of you asked questions when you registered, which is terrific, and we are going to try to address all of them as much as we can. So bear with us, please. Here is my screen. Can you all see it? Hopefully you can.
Sophie, we can see the screen, but we do not have access to view your
Oh.
document.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Martha, can you start
Yeah.
with number 1, and I'm going to try to change my access.
So question number 1 is it easier now for folks who don't file taxes? When is the best time for people to apply typically? So sorry. So the answer to this is no. All financial aid applicants need to provide income information via their 2022 taxes. Also, there is no best time to apply due to the challenges of the 2024-2025 aid year. Typically, the best time to complete a financial aid application is when it opens in October. But this year, the application didn't open due to the Simplification Act. So it opened in December 31st, but with all of the challenges that we're encountering, it has been difficult for families to submit their application.
As you can see, I'm working on getting the proper access. So thanks
I
for
can
your
go
patience.
I can go to number 2.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So any FAFSA for DACA students. So DACA students are not eligible for federal student aid. DACA students should submit a CASFA if they plan to attend college or university out of state or at a private institution. They should reach out to the institution to inquire about the process. They could potentially use CASFA for those institutions as well. And we also have Sophie. She is incredible with CASFAs. So if you all have like more in-depth questions regarding the CASFA process, Sophie would gladly help you all with all of that.
Finally got it in, so let me know if you can see that, and thanks for your patience. Martha, I'll do number 3.
Okay.
Another question was, how do you fill it out if parents don't have social security numbers, SSNs? Under what circumstances would a paper FAFSA be more appropriate? So Martha already talked about it, but it's new, and so it's really important to review again. This has been, as you all know, a huge challenge, issue, glitch. So it is true that parents without a social security number can complete the paper FAFSA, but that's probably, especially based on the announcement today, that's really only a good suggestion if there's a super pressing deadline and the student has reached out to the scholarship organization, for example, and the scholarship organization says, yes, complete a paper FAFSA. So since today, I put it in the chat, Martha, I put all the links that you were talking about in the chat while you were presenting. And so today that NASFA announcement is in the chat. There will be a workaround on the online FAFSA form by mid-March. So under what circumstances would a paper FAFSA be more appropriate? We would still advise them to complete the online form, since the online forms will get processed first. So that is basically where we're going with that. Martha, do you want to do number 4?
Yes. So how much help am I allowed to give as a third party? So with the new 24-25 FAFSA, they no longer include the question, are you a preparer? So we advise just to provide as much help as possible to support the student completing the FAFSA or CASFA, or refer family to a professional free tax resources, help student and family find ways to remember emails, phone numbers, password, help families enter information from 2020-22 1040 IRS forms. But so for right now, the question of the preparer, they took it out from the FAFSA form for this 80-year.
Thanks, Martha. And for this one, I was thinking about some of the legal language in the FAFSA that basically, you know, makes sure that the person who is signing it says, I am who I say I am, and this information is, you know, as accurate as possible at the time that I'm signing it. So obviously, one place where a third party might want to draw the line would be signing a FAFSA for a student or a contributor, especially since there's legal language about how that is not permitted in the FAFSA. However, there are a lot of ways that you can help a student and their contributors with a FAFSA completion beyond signing, like Martha mentioned. So for number 5, how do we help a student complete their FAFSA or CASFA when the parents has not done their taxes? So I was just working on this last night at Brady High School in Lakewood, and I was explaining to the parent how a student who's eligible for a federal Pell Grant, you know, if the student is income eligible for all 4 years for a full Pell Grant, that's almost $30,000 because the current maximum Pell Grant amount is $7,395, and that is likely to increase in the next 4 years. But even if it doesn't, it's still almost $30,000. And so it's usually worth it financially for a family to resolve their back taxes because students may be awarded institutional grants on top of the $30,000 that they may be awarded if they're eligible for maximum Pell. So again, I would say work with the parents, understand the benefit of completing back taxes if necessary, so that students who are doing their 24-25 FAFSA and CASFA have 2022 taxes completed. And then
Lastly, how user-friendly is this for inmates and correctional support? So if inmates, if they don't have internet access, inmates must complete the paper FAFSA form, and it should be pretty similar to the online one. In our next Lunch and Learn, we're having one in another one in March. So hopefully we're going to provide more in-depth information for incarcerated students and what the process is for them to complete the FAFSA form.
thank you, Martha. Should we take a little break and sort of evaluate if we want to do FAFSA, CASFA scenarios?
I think we have enough time. I would suggest yes, if we can.
Great. Well, here they are. So Martha and I put together these FAFSA CASFA scenarios. They're pretty great. I'm going to start with the first one. So this is an opportunity for you to sort of think about how much you know. It was also for an event, so we said talk to people around you. I know it's virtual, so you're welcome to share ideas in the chat if you feel like that's going to be helpful. Also, please note, some scenarios have multiple answers, are ambiguous, and can be quite complex. Just like Martha was saying, you know, encourage your students, and this is a really challenging time. Be patient and understanding with yourself as well. If it turns out you don't know the exact right answer to the FAFSA CASFA scenario, that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. So patience for everybody. So the first one is unwilling parents. So let's say a student and a parent come to your FAFSA CASFA completion workshop. The parent is friendly and supportive of student, but it is very clear they are financially strapped, don't trust the government, and won't be providing any information for the FAFSA CASFA since they aren't able to help the student pay for college. So if anyone wants to, in a few minutes, sort of hop off mute and share some information, can the student submit the FAFSA CASFA without parent information? What additional information do you need? How do you handle the conversation with the parent? And What will happen if the parent continues to refuse to provide their information on the FAFSA CASFA?
So I would say that yes, they could submit the FAFSA and the CASFA, but they wouldn't be eligible for the grants. They would just be eligible for their loans.
Terrific. Thank you so much. That's really helpful. So that's true for the FAFSA. That's that question about parent unwilling to support. So only eligible for loans, like Martha mentioned. And then for CASFA, they won't be considered for any loans because the CASFA isn't linked to a lending opportunity. And then, moving forward, explaining to parents how being a contributor doesn't actually mean that being a contributor on the FAFSA form doesn't mean that the parent is required to contribute to the student's financial aid bill, right? So, or financial bill. So if they owe money for tuition, etc., the parent isn't necessarily contributing. Also, continuing to help the student, sort of encourage the student, advocate for the student to continue this conversation, because maybe this is the sort of thing where the student can talk about it in a less stressful situation with the parent at a later date. So that's another option. And then another scenario is a dependency status. So we haven't reviewed dependency super recently, but we did in prior lunch and learns. So the student is completing their FAFSA CASFA. They get to the dependency questions and pause. They say they live with their grandma and they think she's their legal guardian because she always fills out all of their school paperwork for DPS. Should they check the box to indicate that they are in a legal guardianship, and why or why not? Can anyone hop up and share what they think about this scenario?
Well, do they have court paperwork acknowledging the legal guardianship? Is it official?
Absolutely. That's exactly what's going on. Thank you so much. So here's some more information about it. Have they ever gone to the court? It should say legal guardianship. Keep in mind, if the family has been to court, they should be able to get a copy of the court order if they don't have it by contacting the clerk's office. And then no court order, consider whether unusual circumstances apply. As we know, one of the challenges with the FAFSA, before the better FAFSA for 24-25 and also this year as well, this continues to be a challenge, right? Because there are students who live with relatives, and if there isn't a legal guardianship, then the student does need to use their biological parent as if they haven't been adopted, they need to use their biological parent as their contributor.
Can they use anything with McKinney-Vento with the counselor going out?
Yes. So an unusual circumstance that isn't listed here is for any students who have experienced homelessness. Yes. And we have additional resources if you have any questions, because the eligibility has expanded. So if a student doesn't have a McKinney-Vento liaison that they're working with directly, there are additional ways for them to not have to provide parent information. So please let us know if you have questions about that. Thank you for that. And then Martha, did you want to do this scenario?
Yeah, of course. So student and parent come in to complete the FAFSA, but realize neither has created a studentaid.gov account and FSA ID yet. Will they be able to start the FAFSA today? Why or why not? Any takers?
They would need to go through the process of each creating an FSA ID. And I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, then they need to wait a couple of business days to then go back into each form to complete.
That is correct, Teresa. You just won $1,000. Just kidding. See, if y'all would have participated, y'all might have won $1,000. But yes, you are correct. So they can, well, they can still submit the form, but they would have to input everything manually. So we advise parents and students to please complete their FSA ID to create their FSA ID like at least 3 or 4 days prior to like attending like a FAFSA night. So that way everything will get verified through the Social Security Administration, and everything will get transferred automatically from the IRS, and parents and students won't be able to input all their tax information manually. And then we have one last question. So this is for divorced parents. So student wants to file their FAFSA CASFA. Their parents are divorced and either is remarried. Student was living with their father until 2 weeks ago. He took a job in a different city and the student has moved in with their mother and will live there until high school graduation. There is no formal child support arrangement. One, which parent should the student invite to contribute to the FAFSA CASFA form? What questions do you ask to decide?
I would go with the mother, because the question is usually as of today. And since they're gonna be living more than 50% with the mom, I would think I would choose the mom at that time.
Okay, so yeah, potential solution, the parent who provided the greater amount of financial support for the previous 12 months should be invited to contribute. So this would probably be dad based on the information provided. And if parent insists they provide equal amount of support, then the parent with the higher income and assets should be the contributor.
And this,
Oh, go ahead, Sophie.
sorry, this is new for the 24-25 aid year. In the past, it was not defined as the parent who provided the greater amount of financial support in the last 12 months. So this is a new policy, and we can go over it more. Janelle, did you want to ask your question now?
Yeah, I was just from thinking of the days when I was back and applying for college and doing FAFSA. And this might have been a cheating the system thing, so that's fair too. But we'd always have apply under the parent who had a lower income in hopes of getting more financial aid, especially if the parents aren't planning to contribute and it's going to be primary, like, because I know like we talked about the parents are the contributor on the form, but they're not necessarily required to contribute.
Right.
So is that changed or are we still recommending?
No, it has changed. So now the parent who provides the most support in the last 12 months is going to be the one that's going to provide their information. But like I said, if they say that they both equally provide the same amount of support in the last 12 months, then they're going to have the parent with the higher income and assets as a contributor. This is a new thing that has changed with this 2024-2025 Better FAFSA.
Is that going to impact the amount of financial aid they're getting then? I'm thinking kind of more in the situations where parents aren't helping to pay for any college.
It could, but with this new Better FAFSA as well, they also have like the maximum Pell Grant and minimum. So students can qualify for maximum, which is the 7,395, or they could still be eligible for a minimum Pell Grant.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are lots of questions about these changes. So you are not the only person trying to understand how this is better for the student and the family. Potentially it is, and I think that it may be challenging to explain to a student and a family, especially a student who's, you know, in their second year at a college or university, and now they have to use a different parent and then potentially be eligible for less aid based on the change. However, I think the real answer will be known later on when analysis is done in the future about these. So like analysis about FAFSA overall. So individual students may encounter more roadblocks to financial aid. That is true. And I'm going to stop sharing and then let's see what's next on our agenda.
Okay, let's see, I think it's me with some upcoming events and such. Let's see.
I have a question. What
Yeah.
if a student doesn't have to file taxes because they don't make enough money? What do you do there?
So students, if they make less than 10,000, they don't have to file taxes.
Okay, and that's on the FAFSA that they just didn't file. They'll be,
They'll just put that they didn't file taxes.
they don't need a special form or anything.
No, it'll just ask them if the student filed taxes, and they'll just put on the FAFSA form, no, they didn't. And then they'll submit it that way.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, before I move to the next section, does anybody else have any additional questions?
I have a quick one. I had a student whose parent passed away recently, and that parent was the one who submitted the taxes. And now we're kind of stuck. Mom doesn't have an SSN number, and the parent that did and submitted the taxes is deceased. Any suggestions?
So okay, let me try to better understand your question. Who did the student live with and who provided the most support? It doesn't matter who claims the student in the taxes, it's who provides the most support.
He lived with both. So he lived with both parents, and one was the sole provider, and that's his dad was the one that passed away.
His dad was the one that passed away. But then like they both equally supported the student.
Yes.
So then I would advise the parent that's still alive to provide information on the FAFSA form.
Okay. Thank you.
Great question, Kristen. I wanted to add one more piece. So the student is basically their parent who doesn't have a social security number is going to use the workaround, that's available by mid-March to create an FSA ID. And then hopefully sounds like the parent who is deceased, they filed their taxes, married filing jointly. So since they did that, then the parent who's still alive, it's considered joint income, right? So it's their income as well. And then the student is also going to talk to their financial aid office about special circumstances, because this is one of those times where the income from 2022 is not at all relevant anymore. So the student is going to let them know, I have special circumstances. These are my special circumstances. And they're going to probably go through a little bit of a process where the college says, prove it, show us, and the student shows them about, the loss in their family, and then different aid may be awarded based on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any additional questions? Okay, just a few things to mention. Martha talked about the CDHE FAFSA completion tool that will be opening mid-April, and I just wanted to put that link here. This is where you will access it. Also, she will be sending out a letter, or we will be sending out a letter from our executive director, Dr. Angie Piccioni, to all superintendents. But the tool is there. And then Martha, you were working on adding the link to NCAN's tool that is similar to our tool, although it doesn't have individual school level. Is it only at district level, or am I saying that incorrectly?
It's only at state level. Let
State
me
level.
put
Okay.
it on the link on the chat.
Okay, for the NCANs, great, thank you. Also, we are working on an upcoming FAFSA, CASFA, I guess you would call it new resources, new whole revamping up all of the materials that we hand out and such. So just keep an eye out for that. We're hoping to do that, launch that within 2 to 3 weeks. Will be brand new materials mixed with a social media toolkit and such. So that's going to be real exciting. I'm excited to see that. Upcoming educator financial aid trainings, we have one scheduled for the Western Slope, and that will be on Saturday, April 6th in Grand Junction at Colorado Mesa. So I will put the link in here if you know of any educators who work with FAFSA CASFA completion. They can certainly sign up here at the link, and we do provide an all-day training. It's from 9 to 3 o'clock, and we usually do a breakfast as well as a lunch. And LEPs, local education providers, are eligible for a stipend through the Colorado Department of Education. We do these trainings in collaboration with them. So that is upcoming, and I put the link in the chat there. You can register there. Please pass that along to your colleagues as well. We also have this is a kind of a new initiative that has just kind of come up. It's Leap into FAFSA and CASFA. This year is a leap year on February 29th. So there's an extra day, as you can say, to complete FAFSA and CASFA applications. So I will put this in the chat. And so there are different institutions of higher ed that are hosting events, and you can find them in the link here, and reach out to them, see where they're having it at. Some of them have already input their information, where they're having it and what time. So this is a great resource that we have up and posted on our website. So please pass this along. If you're in any of these individual communities, please attend their FAFSA CASFA completion. And also they put on here, bring your 2022 federal taxes. So that's great that they put that on there. We have one block party scheduled for next month. We just finished one last Saturday. A block party is a fun event for students to come out, make an appointment with their families to fill out the FAFSA and CASFA with lots of volunteers who are experts on FAFSA and CASFA. Our next one will be in Pueblo, Saturday, March 16th, and that's at the Pueblo Convention Center. So we do not have a link yet up on our website for registration, but we're hoping to get that within a week or two. And then they also have a resource fair that is in collaboration with that. Food, they have a fun, loud DJ that's makes the whole event just a lot of fun, like a block party. So please check on our website for upcoming for that upcoming registration. And then finally, this our FAFSA CASFA Lunch and Learn series. Today's event will be recorded and posted on the website. We have a next one scheduled as well for March 27th from 12 to 1. So you can check out our link there, and you can register for our March FAFSA CASFA Lunch and Learn series. And I think that's all. Did I forget anything, ladies? Nope. Okay, great. All right. So again, this will all be posted on the website. Does anybody have any additional questions? Anything they would like to say for the good of the group?
I guess I'll go really quick. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Shyla. Just making sure that we share that decision day is usually May 1st, and it's very likely that's going to look different this year. We have information that a lot of colleges and universities are pushing back their commitment or their priority deadlines. So just knowing that decision day on May 1st is likely to be very different, and you could reach out to your or you can tell your students to reach out to their colleges and universities to learn what those changes are, because May 1st is not really going to be decision day in 2024.
Thanks for that. I totally spaced on that one. So thank you. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in 1 month on March 27th. And please reach out, as Martha said, if you have any questions. All of our contact information is on our website of the links that I put in there, and we will see you in a month. Thanks all. Mm.